Get your nutrition. Okay, wait, where's the camera's right there. Okay. Get your nutrition, right? Because if you want to have a good, successful home-based business, you got to eat right. You know, what you put in your body is very important. Delicious. Okay. Just another minute or two. I hope you all are doing well. And in a couple of minutes, I'm really excited to share with you some tips on working from home and how to start a business. So bear with us. I'm really excited to share this with you. I'll share who I am, why I have credibility in doing this, and we'll get there. So, okay, yep, you're live. Thank you. And protein shakes, I see. That's awesome. Okay. Very good. Good to see you too. Who's that? Gary, good to see you. Can you dab? Did I do? I think that's it. Hey! What else? All right. All right, very good. All right, well, listen, it's 3:00, and I know that this is going to be recorded, so we'll get into it right now. So I encourage you to take notes. There is a study done that shows that you are 17 times more likely to remember something and implement something if you write it down. So I encourage you to write it down. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my background, and then we're going to get into tips on working at home and then how to start an online business. So first off, Washington, D.C. Okay, I'm from Baltimore. Right on, Maryland. So with that being said, a little bit about me. I'm a mortgage lender. I know I don't look the part, but it's the result of a lot of hard work over the years and putting myself in a position where I look the way that I choose to, and it's successful. I barely ever leave my house by choice. I live in a beautiful property. I'm not the richest guy in the world, but very lucky to live on a nice piece of land with lots of trees and plants, and I'm a I'm a homebody, and along with my wife and our son and our animals. So over many, many years, I have built this business to a point where a couple of years ago I said, okay, this is how I want my business to look. I don't want to leave the house. I want to do everything online and from the phone. If I want to leave, I leave. But if I don't, then I don't want to. And I've been a mortgage lender helping people buy homes and refinance their homes here in the U.S. And I know that it is similar abroad. And almost all of my business is email and texting and phone calls. And I stay at home. So we're going to talk about, so that's my background. I'm very grateful that I consider myself to be successful. You know, success has a lot of different variables of what success is. To me, success, or in this case, wealth, is being able to do what you want when you want. And I'm very fortunate that I do that. I have a structured schedule, which we'll get into because of the goals that I have, but we'll get into that. So without further ado, we're going to talk about tips on working at home and then how to start a business. And then what I will do is be available to answer any questions that you might have, and I'll be here for you. So first, let's talk about working from home and how do you do that? Now, I know a lot of us are pretty much locked down right across the world, and we really can't go anywhere, and a lot of us are told to stay home, and if we're employed and we're working out of the house. And for efficiency and peace, there are certain things that you can do while you're working at home. So first, let's start with your environment. Okay? Where in your home are you actually doing your work, and does it feel good? it's important to have a place, and I know not every, and I'll share with those of you who maybe don't have this luxury, but if you have the ability to find a place in your home somewhere that is quiet and private, right? A room that when you tell your family, hey, this is where I'll be, I need silence, because silence and solitude, in my perspective, increases efficiency, productivity, mental health, gives you the ability to really get focused, and it really makes a big difference. What I have done, over the years, I've been all over the place in different areas, different homes. I traveled for a while and worked out of wherever I would stay via Airbnb when I traveled across the country. But ultimately, you really need a desk, a place for your computer, a telephone, and a good chair. Okay, but as far as environment is concerned, you want to find a place that is quiet and private. So ask yourself, where in this space can it be quiet and private? It could even be a closet, and that's okay, right? You can make the space more palatable or more relaxing or more refreshing, which I'm going to get into as well. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find a place in your home, garage, a closet, your kitchen, dining room table, maybe at a certain time. Environment becomes very important. For those of you who may not have the luxury of finding a place, specific place where you can do your work, what I encourage you to do is schedule hours where you know you will have silence. So, for example, I know a lot of us, it's challenging, but I read this book and I shared it with the last time I did one of these with Dad AF, which is called the 5 a.m. Club by Robbins. You want to write that down, 5 a.m. Club, because what it does is it shows you how to wake up at 5 o'clock or just before 5 o'clock, and you have several hours to do anything you want to do before the rest of your family, your household wakes up. So it becomes, let me make sure this is right. So it becomes really an efficient way to work if you don't have the space. You do it from maybe 4 to 7, right? There's 3 hours. And then maybe when everyone goes to sleep, maybe from 9 to 11, there's 2 more hours, right? But again, I'm just sharing a couple of ideas of what you can do if you need the private, quiet time. So environment is very, very important. And if you can get up early in the morning, even if you can't, still get that book 5 a.m. Club. It'll help you figure out really cool ways of utilizing those morning hours when everything is calm. It's before the sun goes up. You can get a lot done. And my life has changed. I used to sleep in all the time, I would get up at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Now I get up on average 4 to 5 o'clock. Last few weeks, not so much. My son is now 4 months old, so it's, I need the sleep and all those things, but it really has paid off. So environment, number 1. Number 2, make it look and feel nice, okay? Put things around you that feel good. So for example, I am a nature lover. I love nature. As you can see, 5 a.m. Club, got it, right. As you can see behind me, this is a tapestry. I paid $15-20 for this off of Amazon, and you can look at the background, right? And then here, I'll show you what my space looks like. I've got some bamboo trees. This is a garage that was built out, and I just have some cool stuff. That TV is never really on, but it's on for certain things, and so it's just, I've got my boards over here to work and do things like this. So just put things around you, like over there, got a little Buddha head and a big rock. I call it my mini mountain. So you just want to put things around your space that feel good. Maybe some of you are Star Wars fans, I don't know, and you have little Star Wars gadgets. So things that bring you joy, essentially. So once you find your private space, put some things around you that bring you joy, that help you feel good, and it really gives a really good energy. The next thing is comfort. Okay? Comfort is so important, and I'm talking about like the chair, right? Because working at home, I am sitting in front of my computer essentially 6 to 7 hours a day, minus my lunch break, right? Because I get up and walk away from lunch. But a chair is very important, especially as we get a little bit older. I'm an older dad. I'm 45 and my son is 4 months old. But I understand the importance of taking care of my body. And part of taking care of my body is not only how I'm eating, but also how I'm sitting, right? So I have this, here, I'll show you. I have this cool ergonomic chair. I bought it pre-owned. So used is always good. Let someone else pay the high price. I've got this cool seat pad for my butt and my back. So physical comfort is pretty crucial. Also, like the laptop, right? So when we're working, right, look, think about what happens. You're sitting and you're pointing down. So look at my neck, right? And it's pulling the back of my neck. So what you want to do is find like a laptop stand, right? So here's my laptop stand. If you can see this okay, it raises it up. So what it does is it gives me the chance to look so I'm not straining my neck. I'm just looking at it head on. And then I have a double monitor over here, as you can see. So I have sorry about that. So I have a double monitor, which gives me the ability to do two things at once, which also helps with my efficiency. So comfort is a very big part of it. And also like your keyboard and your mouse, wireless. It just makes things really easy. So if I need to concentrate and move some things around, I don't have a ton of wires everywhere. So that also becomes important when someone's trying to call me and declining that. Okay. And then the fourth tip that I have, So the fourth tip that I have is making sure everything is nice and tight when you are finished for the day. I have been very lazy in my past, and I'll just get up and I'll walk out. I have papers everywhere and pens and headphones and all of those things. A cup from yesterday, and I realized the importance of straightening up my desk energetically when I come in my office the next morning and everything is nice and tight, right? Everything is clean. I have a clean slate to work on and it just feels good. It's a great way to start my day. So when you're done, wrap it up and then have something to hide everything, right? So if you're, let's say, using a desk or a little table near the kitchen and you need to have your work there, put something in front of it to block it off when you're done, right? So your family can enjoy the space. Your family doesn't want to walk around and see papers and computers and things like that. I'm sure it's not that big of a deal, but energetically it makes a difference, right? So when you're done for the day, tighten up, make sure your desk is nice and clean. It's even ideal to have your to-do list ready so when you sit down the next day, boom, you know exactly what you're going to do. And that's actually part of the next part of this conversation, starting a home-based business. And or you can even get like wall dividers. They have these wall dividers. Like here, look, you see that right there. You probably wouldn't know, but I have my entire gym behind there. It's dumbbells and a bench and bands, and it's just covered up. So once I open it up, it's got all my weights, but I cover it up. It's got a nice private look. So to recap, tips for working at home: find a good, quiet, private space that you won't be disrupted so you can concentrate and get focused. If you don't have that luxury, figure out times of the day with your partner or with your family when you can have complete silence and concentration, whether it's before the sun comes up or after the sun goes down. I take advantage of those also. Number 2, put things around that bring you joy, that feel good. I like natural rocks and plants and sculptures and statues and things that are really naturey, but whatever brings you joy. Make it comfortable, right? A good chair, very important if you sit a lot. For your computer, make sure your monitor screen is raised so you're looking eye to eye versus stretching your neck. Make sure you have ergonomic is the word, ergonomic mouse for your wrist, ergonomic keyboard. It's got these little things that come up so my wrists aren't so affected. So those are some things to look out for. And then make sure you tighten up at the very end and you put it away in storage, or you block it off with a tapestry or a divider wall. So those are some tips to work at home. For more tips, what I encourage you to do is just Google the top tips for working at home, and then you can just go as deep as you want. This is kind of like scratching the surface to kind of give you a start. Okay. So now let's get into how to start a home-based business. Okay. Now, both of these topics, okay, working at home and then starting a home-based business, it is such a wide range of, there's so much that one could speak about under these two topics. So I'm doing my best to kind of compact it so it makes sense for you. But I'm also going to share some things that you can research on your own, which is a good lead in. So let's talk about how to start a home-based business. And you can see we're about 15 minutes in. We finished part 1. We're finished part 2 in about 15 minutes, which puts us at about 30 minutes. And then I'll answer some questions for you. If any of you want to ask anything, I'm more than happy to go over, answer any questions I can for you. So, how to start a home-based business. Again, that is a really open-ended question. So there's a couple of things. The first thing that I suggest that you do is figure out what is your ideal way to make money, right? And so one of the questions to ask yourself is, if you had $1 million in your checking account as of today, if you had $1 million in the bank, what would you do with your time? Right? Some people might say I would play music. Some people might say I'd be an artist. Some people might say I would work for a charity, right? Whatever that answer is for you, maybe you want to be a baker, or you want to, sell, I don't know, maple syrup. I don't know where that came from. I love maple syrup. So first thing you want to do is figure out, if you had the opportunity to make a living doing what you love, what would it be, right? And that is something that you should sit with, right? But here are some really cool ways to help push that along, okay? There is an app, and you want to write this down. I just found it maybe a year ago, and I just started looking on it, and I share it with people who are like, hey, what can I do to make a living at home? So there's this app, it's called 74 Ways to Make Money. 74 Ways to Make Money. And essentially, it's all things that you can do on your own. From, you can get paid to be an internet shopper, right? So you literally can go to websites and shop, and you get paid for that. That's crazy. You can do billing for companies where you subcontract and people will pay you to do database entry, right? There's so many different ideas out there, but that's a good way to get started, is 74 Ways to Make Money. It's an app, and you can look at that. But let's say you have something picked out, right? What's the next step? A lot of us, me included, will see something and it's like, wow, this person's advertising that they can make $10, $20, $30, $40,000 a month. But making $40,000 a month, that seems pretty overwhelming, so I'll put that to the side, right? It's overwhelming. I don't want to take the time to learn all that. There's a lot to learn. But I don't encourage you to start there. What I encourage you where to start is, if someone is sharing that you can make that much money, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, whatever it is online, start with listening to what that person has to say. Maybe that'll parlay you to do research on something else, right? So starting a home-based business, it's not easy, but the first thing to do is figure out what product or service you want or will sell to make money. That's step number one, okay? Another great way is to find out like a need, right? Like, look at the guys at Dad AF. Look what they did, and look what I'm doing, right? They said, wait a minute, there is a need for dads to be able to access content and resources. Let's get this app going, right? So there's a need, and I'm an example of someone who saw that I needed something, and here I am downloading it, and now here we are, right? So once you find what you like, then what I encourage you to do is start researching your competition, right? Let's say you want to sell, bowls. Okay, here's my. You have this beautiful bowl that you want to sell. So then what you want to do is you want to type in bowls for sale, right? And see what pops up. See what other people are doing, right? You have Amazon and you have people selling direct, and ultimately what you want to do is, once you figure out the product or service, go see what other people are doing and how they're doing it, and then copy them, right? And that's okay to do. It's just your own thing. I think one of the great opportunities we have in life is to find something that we really like and enjoy and then make it our own, right? As a mortgage professional, where my company lends people money so they can buy a home, there are hundreds of thousands of us in the U.S. alone, hundreds of thousands. There's about, I think probably 5,000 within a 2-county radius. So how am I successful, right? Well, the reason that I'm successful is because which I'll get to in a minute, I set up my goals, I'm clear on what I want and need to do, and then I just don't stop. And then I focus on serving first, okay, which leads me to the next part of this. Once you figure out what product or service you want to sell, once you look at the competition, then it's time, and write this down, to figure out how can you add value for free to someone who is watching your videos or reading your website. What can you do for free? So you're selling a bowl, right? Maybe you can say that do a video, the top 5 things that you need to know before you purchase a bowl, and then you put it out there. So instead of saying, hey, come buy my bowl, you're saying, hey, here are the top 5 things you need to know before you buy a bowl, and here's some value for you. Well, you've just given value for free. And so when they're ready to buy a bowl, who do you think they're going to buy from, right? Because now you've built trust, you've built a relationship. So how do you do that? That's something that you can figure out, right? One of the things that I'm doing, like I have a database of all my past clients and leads and referrals over the years. So I have what's called a CRM. You might want to write that down. Actually, in fact, write that down. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management Software. And every single person you speak to, and here's one of the biggest takeaways that I encourage you to remember from this presentation, is a CRM. It is a software. There's tons of stuff online. I mean, I have one that's mortgage specific, but there's a bunch of them out there, where every single time you talk to someone or you communicate, text, email, whatever it is, someone who has somewhat interest in your product, they should go into your CRM. You should have their name, their email, any notes about that particular person, and then you're building it. And what I do is every month, sometimes twice a month, I send out an email of value to my database. Hey, here's what's happening to the market. Hey, like literally as a result of DAT-AF and them asking me, hey, can you do something on how to work at home? I realized, wait a minute, that's something I can send out to my database, because all of my clients, all of my referral partners, they're all working out of their house. So as a result of this, I'm literally going to create a video, same sort of thing, on how to be comfortable and all the things we talked about in working out of your home. That's value. They're seeing my face. They're hearing my voice. I'm not asking them to spend money with me. Subtly I am, because at the very end I'm saying, hey, if you're interested in a mortgage, give me a call. Hey, if you're interested in, here are the top 5 tips for buying that you need to do before you buy a bowl. And by the way, I sell bowls, so if you want more information on how to buy one of the bowls I have, click the link below, right? So, product or service, look at your competition, and then start to figure out with all the people that you know, right? Your friends, your family, your social media, start putting out free content. Let them know why you're the expert. I don't care if it's one person or two people, because if it's one person over the course of a week, like look at this. We started out, I think, with 15 or 16 people, I think I saw. We're down to 4, right? And the 4 that are in there, maybe it's the guy from who's with us, Joe, from Dad AF, and a couple of others that hopefully you're getting a lot of value. Hopefully the people that see the recast of this will get some value. But ultimately, you put it out there. It's not about how many people see it, right? It's about giving value. And if you could give value to one person, then you should be fulfilled, right? And then you just keep showing up. Just keep showing up, okay? So product or service, look at your competition, produce content, and then start to do research on how to market your product, right? So once you have all that, you can put in, how do I market my product? Now, this can be overwhelming, right? Baby steps. You just pick out one thing at a time. You take some notes, right? So like one of the things that I'm now doing is how to produce leads for the mortgage business, because I'm now building a team. I have a bunch of people who are doing what I'm doing, working with me, so I don't have to do what I'm doing now. I'll just be managing up to 20 people who are professionals. I'm going to be pretty much sharing with them what I'm sharing with you right now, but how to get business. So now I'm working on producing leads so I can give it to them so they can go build the relationships. So you want to establish yourself as the expert. You want to give content and then do research on how to be successful at whatever it is you're doing. So I did search. How can I produce mortgage leads online? And then I do some research. Okay. You always want to make sure, here's the next tip, you always want to make sure you are following up with your customers, always, even if it's just to say, hello, how are you? I can't tell you over my career how much business I've produced just by making a phone call and saying, hey, how you doing? Just checking in to say hello. And if there's anything I can do for you, and they'll say, hey, you know what, Jay, thank you so much. I need a mortgage, or one of my family members needs a mortgage. So follow up is key. And here is here's the last tip for now, is time blocking. Okay, this is very, very important. Time blocking. What is time blocking? It's creating a schedule for yourself and then sticking to it. The saying, "Be your own boss," right? But the problem is that most of us who start a business from home don't have discipline. And we get easily distracted. This, I think, is probably the most important one. We get easily distracted, right? So how do you get through that? Well, number one, in the 5 a.m. Club, the book that I shared at the beginning, they talk about the way to create a habit, a good habit. And the way to create a good habit is you have to do the same thing for 66 days. 66 days, okay? The first 22 days is challenging. The second block of 22 days is very messy because you're just struggling to keep it going. And then the final 22 days, you're now in your groove. And by the time you get to day 66, it's now a habit. So imagine what your habit looks like if you time block and create a schedule, right? So what I do is I'll write a list of all of my stuff to do. Very important for your home business is day by day baby steps. You write down your schedule. Okay, I've got the baby to do here. I've got dinner at 5 o'clock. I've got to take the dogs at 8 o'clock. I am going to be at my desk from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. with my hour break. And here's something else very important. Every 90 minutes, I get up and walk away, because you can burn out, right? If you're in front of your computer or you're on the phone too much, you can burn out. So every 90 minutes, I'll get up and just walk around for 5 minutes, loosen up, shake, and I come back and I feel refreshed, right? So time blocking. create a schedule for yourself. You print a schedule. You can literally Google weekly calendar PDF and print it. And 4 of them, right? So you have one each week. And you write down, okay, on Monday, I know I'm going to allocate time to this. So Monday morning from 7 to 8 in the morning when everyone's asleep, or from 5 to 6 in the morning when everyone's asleep, I am going to figure out what sort of business I want to start. Okay? The following day, I'm going to, from 6 to 7 a.m., I'm going to put in there research how to have a successful business selling bowls, right? And so if you time block and you don't allow distractions, I mean, for years when someone would call or a text would come in or an email pops up, boom, 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 boom. It's like constant distraction. Successful people don't allow themselves to get distracted. Now, listen, I could be speaking to a client, my wife comes in, baby's crying. That's different, right? A structured time block schedule with flexibility, right? And that's okay. But you want to make sure that 80% of your day is structured. Be your own boss, right? It's not about what's happening every day. It's about focusing on the big picture and then doing the things you need to do to achieve the big picture. So for example, for me, my big picture is having enough money coming in each month to live a relaxed lifestyle, which is what I'm doing now, and be able to work less so I can spend more time with my wife and son, right? So now I know what I need to do, now I know what I want to do. So now what are the things that I need to do? Right? And the things I need to do is, okay, from 9 to 10:30, I need to call other loan officers because I'm recruiting them. From 11 to 12:30, I am calling my clients and working on files. From 12:30 to 1:30, I'm taking my lunch break and relieving my wife from caretaking our son, which I will talk about in a minute, very important. And then 1:30 to 3, I am prospecting mortgage leads. And then from 3:30 to 5, I am working on marketing and being creative. So over an 8-hour workday, I am hardcore for 6 hours. One of those hours is a 1-hour lunch break, and one of those hours are 4 15-minute breaks, up to 15 minutes. And you can now see why I have this big giant beard, right? Man bun, right? I have a beautiful wife, a beautiful son. I'm relaxed. See, it's 3:30 in the U.S. right now. It's in the middle of my day. And I'm taking time in the middle of my day to do this for Dad AF. What's my benefit? I get to serve. Right? So this is one of the reasons I have time blocked, because this part of my day and this part of my week, I blocked out 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Wednesday, U.S. time. I am going to dedicate this time to serving where there is no financial gain at all. It's just serving. And then they say the gift is in the giving. I feel great that if I can impact one of you, I am fulfilled, right? So that's really, really important. Time blocking, schedule, block off the different times, discipline yourself, stick to it. If you need help on discipline, 5 a.m. Club, the book from Robbins, it's going to change your life. It did for me. So to recap, the app, 74 Ways to Make Money. That'll get you started. Figure out what you love to do and then research how to make a living doing that. Give content, right? Provide content why you're the expert. And don't hard sell. You just tell people, hey, I'm the expert. And if you want more information, here's my number. Here's my email. Get yourself a CRM so you can keep track of the people that you're speaking to, and you can constantly email them or even text them. Like, so for example, with the CRM that I have, and I have a lot of people in my CRM, but I have different groups. So I have past clients as one group. Okay, realtors is another group. But past clients, my CRM, I can type up a message, hey, checking in on you to see how you're doing, push a button, and one text message goes out to hundreds of people in one shot. That's what technology can do nowadays. That's what a CRM can do. So CRM is really important. Make sure you are following up with your customers, and then make sure you are time blocking. See, here's this is Callie. Hey, Callie. He and this is another. He'll just sit on my lap as I'm working, which sometimes he'll get on the keyboard and the mouse and he messes things up. But right now he's okay. And so anyway, so those are some ideas for working at home. So we have talked about tips for your home office, and we talked about ways of starting a home-based business. Now, some of you may not, hopefully you got some value from some of these bullet points, and I like to kind of keep it lean and power-packed to give some time for questions. But also I know that if you're anything like me, I have a self-diagnosed case of ADD, so I get distracted pretty easy. So I figure 30 to 35 minutes of content. Hopefully this will give you value. But any of these bullet points that hopefully you wrote down, and if you didn't write them down, I encourage you, because I believe Dad AF is going to repost this in the archive. So go back and look at it, write down the bullet points, and you can literally go deeper into every single bullet point, right? But I discourage you from spending too much time going into every bullet point. There's a saying by a gentleman by the name of Les Brown. He said, jump off the cliff and grow your wings on the way down, right? And what that means to me is don't wait for everything to be perfect. Because if you wait for everything to be perfect, which probably a lot of us have been doing for years anyway, we'll never get to it. We're master procrastinators, right? How do you avoid that? Just take the step and commit and be very clear as to what is your why. So through all of this, why have a successful home-based, why have your environment set up at home, nice and clean environment, healthy, good things to look at. Why make a living out of your home? Why? Right? Ask yourself. My why is I want to be in joy and relaxed throughout my day. So these are the things that I implement myself. And most importantly, I want to be able to spend time with my wife and son and my dogs and my cat cow. And so I'll leave you on this final thought. The importance of our partners in our success. Okay, this is very important. I'm so lucky as I was getting set up, my beautiful wife brought me this bowl with oranges. And she's always making sure I'm well fed. She's always keeping my space quiet and peaceful unless she really needs me. And so that's beautiful, right? Yes, there's an added note to that. We as dads should be assisting our partners, right? It's like anything else. I want to make sure that I'm doing my part in supporting my wife. And as a result, my wife does her part in supporting me. One of the things that I do to have a successful business, to get the support of my wife, is on my lunch break, I go and take my son and I say, go. Like today, for example, she took a hot bath and she journaled, right? The other day she did yoga, right? Her self-time. She gets to spend time with herself. Guess what happens when she takes a hot bath and she journals? Guess what happens when she takes time to do yoga and have her self-time where she has no responsibility other than to spend time with herself? Guess what happens? She becomes at peace. If mama's at peace or your partner's at peace, what does that mean for your child? And what does that mean for us, right? Really all we want, when someone says, hey, what do you want out of life, right? A lot of us say, well, I want to be happy. But we don't take the time to define what that is, right? If I say to you, what do you want out of life? And you say, well, I want to be happy. Oh, yeah. What does that look like for you? And people stumble like, well, I haven't thought about that. Well, how do you know what you're working toward, right? I want to be happy. I want to be at peace. So my happiness and peace is all the things I explained to you. These are the things that I want. So then there are things that I have to do in order to get what I want. So on that note, I hope that you've picked up at least one tiny nugget from this way of communicating. I hope it's been valuable. I honor Dad AF and the work that they're doing to give someone like me a platform